Hello and welcome back to Nitro RX podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nabila Tejpal, and I am joined, as always, by my trusty co-host, Thiemo Albers Daily. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Nabila, how are you?
I am good, thank you. I'm excited to be back for this new episode. Well, it's going to be a little bit of a different episode. But since we're coming off the 2023-2024 season, we are, as always, trying to get as many drivers and people involved with the series to come and have a chat with us. And it is really exciting. We do have a pretty good lineup. But for today, unfortunately, life happened and I was unable to make this interview. So this week, Thiemo took on the reins and had a chat with Guillaume. I appreciate him coming on the show, and with that in mind, I'm going to throw this over to Thiemo.
So, hi, Guillaume. Thank you very much for being here today. First of all, how are you?
I'm feeling pretty good. I've been quite busy coming back from Las Vegas because obviously I'm not a professional driver. I mean, it's not my source of revenue. I'm also an engineer at Alpine Racing. So I used to work for 7 years on the F1 side as a powertrain engineer, and now I switched internally since September to work on the new LMDH program
Hmm.
as well as the Formula E program of the brand.
I'm saying
So quite
never a
busy.
dull moment for you from the sounds of it there.
Sorry?
Never a dull moment for you from the sounds of it there.
No, 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 no. I'm quite busy all the time, pushing flat out on motorsport. So if it's not during the weekend, myself as a driver or a coach, I'm just pushing flat out at the factory. Yeah,
No,
as
definitely.
an engineer.
One of the questions we always ask people when we get them on the show is what first got you interested in motorsport then? Because for you, it doesn't seem like it's just one aspect. It seems a bit of everything. So what's behind that?
That's actually a pretty good question. I would say as a kid first, when I started go-kart, it was more like, I would say speed, like the feeling of the G-forces and everything. Also the fact that you are quite autonomous in the kart at that age. You're only 10, but you were still driving alone and kind of being also in the zone. So it's a bit of everything, like the emotion you feel while driving, and also feeling that you have that freedom, uh, being alone and do whatever you want with it. So yeah, I would say definitely the speed is a big factor as well. So yeah, all these aspects.
What then led you to want to get involved with everything outside of the car? So, like you say, inside the car, that makes sense. And the rest of it, did it kind of spawn from you wanting to use those other aspects to learn how to get quicker in the car, or were you just getting
It's
more
it's
and
a
more fascinated?
it's a little bit different on the outside aspect of the car. I would say it's first coming from a big frustration on my side when I used to be a bit younger. So I used to drive go-kart for 10 years, I would say, at the highest level possible. So like in World Championship for many years. And I've done some testing single seater when I was a bit younger, like around 14, 15, uh, which were pretty good, to be honest. But I never get the budget to make the step up in single seater. So that creates a big frustration on my side because obviously, as all the go-kart drivers, I wanted to be a Formula One driver. So that was
Yeah.
the big dream. I was pushing a lot for that. Obviously, it didn't happen, but I said at some point, okay, I cannot manage to do it as a driver. So let's reach Formula One by the door or by the window. So let's keep pushing on that. And what I can do if I'm not a driver, a mechanic, an engineer. So let's start studying engineering, and that's how everything started. So I started studying in Belgium in university, and then I switched at the end of my master uh, as an engineer. So I went to a specialized school in Paris for powertrain engineering, and it was like a sandwich course program, and you had to find a company that you could work in for the industry period, and that could also pay for your scholarship. And so I pushed really hard to get hired by Renault Sport F1. So it was not Alpine back in the day; it was still Renault.
No.
But I pushed a lot to be hired by that company because that was the final dream, and it worked. So I started my internship in Renault Sport Formula One, and then got my contract straight onwards.
You must have liked it then.
So finally managed to make the dream happen and work in Formula One. So didn't succeed as a driver, but I did as an engineer.
Do you get the same level of satisfaction when you've helped contribute to a good result there that you would have done when you were driving back when you were younger, or is it a different kind of feeling that you get of success there?
That's a good question as well. I mean, it's obviously a different feeling, but you still feel that you are part of the success. So you're still part of the team, and the work you provide has still managed to get to that good results, for example. So I would say it's still a really satisfactory to work as an engineer and to succeed. But of course, the goal was to be a driver, so it's a little bit different. But anyway, I mean, at some point, it's over. You can't make it as a driver anymore. So the only thing you can control is basically the thing you can do by yourself, and that's what I did basically.
Or you say you don't make it as a driver, but there's some recent results that say otherwise in some respects with Nitrocross, because we'll get into Las Vegas in a second, but before then, it's been a bit of a gap since you last competed. When was the last time before Vegas that you jumped in a car for a race?
It was end of 2021 in Nürburgring when I got the RX2 E-Titan. So
Okay.
it's been more than 2 years since then.
So quite a sizable gap, but it doesn't look like you missed out on anything in terms of bringing the racing over from one race to the next, because you just kind of came out the gates with just not holding anything back, and you just kind of were on it from the get go. And I want to say kind of one of the positive surprises of the weekend for those watching, because like casual fans may know that you were involved with the team, but weren't necessarily expecting that. Oh, just someone working on the team. That's fun that he's having a go, but not necessarily thinking you were going to do that well.
I mean, I was the first to be surprised in a good way, of course. I mean, I knew I would be competitive at the end of the weekend, but it came up pretty quick. I would say it's a bit like riding a bike. You don't forget it. But the thing is that you still need to have a bit of practice to get comfortable in the car and perform at your best level, which I feel I still didn't in Vegas, to be fair. So it came back pretty quick, but I would say I was like maybe at 90% of what I can do. So there is still a little bit more to come on my side. But yeah,
we've got to get you back next season. Then, if this is only you at kind of like half throttle, then we've got to get you back for the full season next year, and maybe you can be the one to beat Larson finally.
I mean, I would be pretty satisfied with that if I can be on the grid next season. That would be really something. It's really difficult to find the budget to be there. I can't thanks enough BMB Racing for the opportunity they gave me in Vegas. But now we need to find more budget if we want to align the two cars on the grid for next season. So yeah, as I always say, it's quite easy to win races, but the tough part is to be on the grid. It's to find the budget to compete. That's the tough part in the driver work, I would say.
No,
so
definitely.
yeah.
Just taking it back slightly there before we do dive more into the racing side of it at Vegas, I want to know what it was like for you transitioning from that driver role then into this team manager role with the team. And did you think that you'd ever be in that kind of position, or was this just another kind of way for you, like with the engineering, you wanted to stay in motorsport and succeed in there? This was just another way to do that.
That's a part of it, for sure. So it's a way to kind of keep in that world and to still, as I mentioned, to still work towards the success. So obviously the driver is the last part of the chain to make the success happen and to make the final result on track. But motorsport is one of the biggest team sport, in my opinion, which is not really what you would say at the beginning. But there is so much people working around and having an impact on the final result that you need to put everything together and to have all the right people at the right position in the team to manage that kind of success. So of course, being myself on the engineering part, that's what I try to achieve as well. So I try to be the best as possible in my job to try to bring success in the team, or at least, to ease up the things for other people in the team, and that all together we can achieve victories, because that at the end, that's what matters. Nobody never remember who is second. So basically, we say that victory matters.
Would I be right in assuming then that the experience you've had as a driver and then as an engineer, that helps you to be a better team manager then, because you've just got a better understanding of how everything works and what should be happening, and it just maybe takes the pressure off a little bit from you, because you've got this kind of shorthand already with the drivers and the other people in the team, because you've been there and done that yourself?
I mean, it's definitely helping me both ways, I would say. So the engineering part is helping me as a driver to understand the car setups, how everything works, why when we change something, it goes in that or that direction. So I would say that's already a big help for me as a driver, and on the other side as well. So when we have like a feedback from the driver, I directly understand what they mean or how they feel in the car. Sometimes also, if you think always in terms of engineering, pure engineering, you would try to go in one direction to make everything more complex or more optimized or everything, and at some point you just need to ease up everything, just put the driver in good conditions, with a good confidence in the car, even if you don't have like the best ever performing car in one aspect, or the car is not too edgy, but that brings confidence to the driver. At the end, it goes quicker. And that's also something that engineers coming out from school, for example, without too much field experience, they always tend to think about the physics behind, and not necessarily the driver feeling or the combination between the car and the driver. So
they're just focused on their task in hand and maximizing that, and not necessarily seeing the crossovers and the potential of listening to the driver when they're saying X, or the team manager when they're saying maybe counter this in with that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a good example is, for example, the first time I worked with Victor. So RX2E, he used to have my engineer when I was racing in RX2E as well. So he knew the car by heart, and he's a really good engineer. But at some point, for example, just the seat positioning. So he put the seat as low as possible, because in terms of engineering, you lower the center of gravity is better. I mean, theoretically better. But I said, like, do the opposite. Put the seat position as high as you can, because the driver will gain more by seeing where the wheels are positioned than just being, I don't know, 2 centimeters lower in the car. And he didn't.
Yeah, it's these little things that you don't know how much of a benefit it's going to be, but you can only know that benefit from having either driven or seen or talked to the driver about what that small difference can make, because it might not seem like much, but it can, as we see in most, even the smallest of advantages can be quite big.
Exactly. And also, like in the fight, when you have cars around you, if you better know where your car is or where the limits of your cars are, then you can also push a little bit more on the edge in terms of battling and contacts and so on. So it's also like side effects, benefits that you can have. So yeah, it's basically, it helps me to see what's the best combination between the car and the driver. Sure.
Do you think this team manager role is something that you'd like to continue doing into the future, now that you've kind of, what's the phrase, kind of jumped into the deep end with it a small bit, and you've got your stripes with it?
I would say I would continue like this right now as long as I can, because it's really nice in my point of view to have that kind of the two visions of the two worlds. So I would continue like that as much as I can. But for example, if there is an opportunity for me to become a professional driver, for sure I will seize it. I mean, that has been the goal since
It's
the
the
beginning.
easiest yes you'd ever have to say.
Yeah. So basically, of course, if at some point, I can be a professional driver, that's something I still wish I can do. So I'll try to do it anyway. Otherwise, I'll stay as it is and try to push as much as I can on the driving side, on the coaching side, and on the engineering side, as I've been doing for the past 2 years now.
Who's quicker than you or Victor?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, I have a little bit more experience than he's. I mean, he's quicker than I was if we compare the same age. So he's only 18. I'm not sure I could have done what he's doing at 18. So it's a bit of an unfair comparison. I would say at the moment I'm still a little bit quicker, which
I was
is
about to say
good.
you've got a nice diplomatic answer there, but then the competitiveness came out.
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end, you can't be a good driver, or at least like driving to the top, if you don't have that competitive aspect. But it was, let's say, in a good way that we try to push each other in terms of competition. So it was really good to work with him as a driver, or at least as a teammate, not more as a coach, but as a teammate was really nice. And I hope we can do that in the future again. He's really quick. To be fair, it's just a matter of putting everything together. But we already learned from each other in a few aspects. So let's say in few corners, it was a little bit quicker. In few corners, I was a little bit quicker. So when you have a two-car team, you go forward more than twice as fast as a one-car team. It's more than just double the impact. So I really hope that we can make it happen for next season again.
With that being said, you came into this season a little bit later than the start of the season. You weren't there from the very start, but then why was Las Vegas the place for you to make your comeback? Had you been talking about coming back in an earlier round, or was this just sort of, it's the last race of the season, go on, let me in the car, let's have a bit of fun?
I would say it was a question of opportunities, and Vegas was the opportunity we've been discussing. We've been discussing around. Also, the team is brand new, so it was kind of a good idea to bring the second car on the last race, not before. Just trying to get the team up to speed and to get a little bit more mature with only one car was the good way to go. And then as soon as people are a little bit set up, then you bring the second car on the last race.
Forgive me for asking, then, is it also partly down to the fact that if something goes wrong, you've got a much longer period of time to fix it all?
Yeah, as well. I mean, so it's basically a lot of circumstances that made Vegas let's say the right race to come in, and also it was the last race of the season. Obviously, the goal is to come back with these two cars. That is clear. So it's also a way of preparing next season, or at least see what we should improve with the two-car team in terms of staffing, in terms of organization in the team, in terms of tooling, in terms of everything for next season. So basically, now we have 6 months to fix all these small details, and yeah, it was basically made for that as well.
In terms of a race event, it's and the coverage that it got, it's obviously there's a lot of attention being paid to that particular race as well. So it works quite well from that side of things, like you say, to try and get more sponsorship and more partnerships that way. So I'm also intrigued about the weekend then from your perspective. You're jumping in the car for the first time in quite a while. You've still probably got all these other responsibilities that you've got to do. Tell me about it from your perspective. What was it like from that moment that you jumped into when it was all done and dusted?
I mean, I try to focus a lot on the racing side, like on driving side, because I knew I will have a lot of work to do, not driving at that level of competition for more than 2 years. So I did a lot of training before as well to get back in shape, like physically. We had the chance to test the car in Charlotte the Friday before the race. Obviously, it was not really representative base, but still, just to get used to the button of the car, is like to the procedures. So like a small shakedown that was really helpful as well. And then from that onwards, I would say that my position was quite easy coming at the end of the championship, not paying for anything. So I had no pressure at all. So that's one
Do you
good
think that's
point.
why you did so well then? Because you could just have a bit of fun with it.
That's part of it, to be honest, for sure. It's way easier to be in my position than to be in Robin's position coming to the weekend, for sure. So, it's like a tennis player that can just play his game and not hold up the what he's doing. So basically, I had not really an expectation or no real objectives coming to the weekend. Maybe just reaching the finals, which was already something when you look at the field, because there was like 10 drivers that could win the race. So just being in the final was a little bit the goal. And
What surprised
positioning
you more than the first podium that you got or the second one? Because the first time, maybe, like you say, you've not got that pressure on you. You're just going out there playing your game. But then the second day, you're thinking, ooh, now I've got to get a podium the second day because I did it yesterday. Or were you able to kind of reset your mind and go, it's just another race. I'm just here to see how I can do.
Yeah, I did first in the first. I did fourth in the first final. But the second day, I knew I had a little bit more in the bag. I mean, the pace was really good. It's just that we got all that little newbie mistakes, if I can say, from the first day. For example, on the start, I was shifting from second to third gear because we have 3 gears in the car, which made me lose the start in my first heat because the other drivers were not shifting. So you lose a little bit of time like this. So that was first thing. Then we were lacking a little bit of knowledge with that car and these tires on tarmac, because obviously the team when Victor was driving was just on gravel or ice in Calgary. So all that small setup changes that we have to make through the weekend helped me also. But I would say that I knew we have the pace to do a podium, or even better, because we've done in the time seeding, we've done the best lap time both days, so that was really good. So pace was there. It was just a matter of putting everything together, not do any mistakes, and try to get all the small details of the car and so on. So I knew it was possible, and I was eager to do more. So after that fourth place in the first day, I was like, so close to the podium. So now we need to push more. And that was quite easy, again, without the pressure of the championship. It's just like you can throw everything you have in the battle and then just see how it goes. So that's quite an easy situation, I would say, and I just give my very best. It was a mixed feeling coming to crossing the finish line as third, because I wanted a little bit more. When you see that
you got that edge back of like, that's nice. It's better than yesterday, but that win is just right there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been fighting with the guys in front of me the whole day. So at some point, I was really happy for the team as well with the podium, because that gives them a little bit of visibility as well, and that shows that as a brand new team, we are already competitive. But then you've been fighting for the win or for the second place the whole weekend, so you have the pace as well. So I was like, just a little bit missing.
Silver lining, though, you were probably the best dressed driver for the entire weekend. How much luck did those awesome race suits give you, do you think?
I mean, as you mentioned, that race was really good in terms of visibility and spectators, both on site and on the broadcast. We knew it will be the case, so we knew also we need to perform on and off track to get more visibility and attract potential partners, or at least like maximize our marketing reach. So we put a lot of efforts also, like outside of the car. Yeah, and basically working on the suits, the cars as well. They're really bright and colorful, so you can really notice them on the track.
So as a neutral fan spectator, it's always nice to have a car out there where, especially when you're coming to a category that you're not always familiar with, maybe as a casual fan as well, that you can, a Ferrari when you see one in F1, and then you hope that there is going to be some distinction between the rest of them to help you decide a bit. And you see that in some other categories, but a lot of the time, there's just variations of the same. So when you get a bright orange car like Victor's, you're like, thank you. I don't know who you are, but I want to root for this because I know who's that. I know that I can recognize that.
So already when Victor started, we were there watching the race in Phoenix, and we noticed that mainly all the cars were black, or with small touches of colors, but from far, you could not notice them. They're basically all black or carbon or whatsoever. So like, okay, there is a simple way to stand out from the competition, at least visually. So yeah, let's go bright on the colors, and that works.
I keep suggesting that all the drivers in all of the categories just have a big picture of the driver's face on the roof, so that when you get the drone shots, you know immediately who everyone is, and it's totally easy.
That's a good idea as well. Maybe we should think about that for next season.
I'm saying you heard it here first. What's it been like then joining this team, and how did that come about in the first place? Because, like you say, you've been doing some work with Alpine, but then you kind of moved into here. Where did the opportunity come along, and what made you want to say yes to it?
So it's been a long time. I mean, a long time, like 2 years now that we work together with BMB Racing. So they came to see me in Nürburgring when I got the title, the RX2E title, back in 2021.
No time wasted there at all. Just straight in from one to the other.
And basically, the team principal Bert, which is the father of Victor, asked me to coach his son, but I had no clue of who he was at the beginning. So I was like, yeah, why not? But first, let's make a test together to see. I mean, if
you want to make sure that there's something that you can do there. It's not just someone who needs too much help, maybe.
That's my competitive aspect. So I was like, first we test, and if I see that Victor has the potential to do something, then we go together. Otherwise, if you're just with a random kid that doesn't care about it and that doesn't listen to you, then it's useless.
There's no
and
point.
It was, I mean, I've been surprised by his car control at the beginning. Of course, there was a lot of aspect to work on, but I would say that it was clear he had a potential, and also the really good mindset. So he was listening to everything I said to him, applying it directly. So I knew we could do something. We could do something from the beginning, and then we started training during the winter season. We did quite a lot of testing on different tracks and different conditions, and we came with VMB Racing as a racing team. The first season was 2022 in World RX in the RX2E class. He was only 16, so he had the limit age to start driving. I mean, he couldn't do it before, and the first season he basically become a champion in RX2E. So it's like the world championship.
You might have been slightly reassured there that you'd gotten in with the right guy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the right guy, and also that the whole team did the right work. I would say, we were working really hard to make everything professional. Again, in every aspect, like on track, off track, the way we worked. So the organization in the team, the people who were surrounding in the team. So in every position, we had young people, but really competent and really talented in their field. So my engineer back in the days become his engineer. He was still finishing school, so really young, but really good. All the mechanics and so on. I mean, we had a lot of competencies in the team, and also Bert has a good vision of how to organize things and how to do things properly and like in a professional manner. And that's something we shown to the whole paddock that we were able to do. So that was
nice
really
to have
good.
that consistency and to show that you can build that up over a period of time and go from strength to strength in a lot of ways and just kind of quietly succeed there in the background, layer all these things and build it up. Like you say, you enter a new racing series this season with Nitrocross, you start with the one car, you build up, you don't try and run before you can walk, you make sure that you get all these things nailed down and that you know that you've got the confidence in everyone behind the scenes. And like you said, that continuity from someone you've worked with, then work with Victor, and you know that relationship helps, then just makes that communication all and the feedback that bit smoother, so that it's one less thing you've got to worry about, and you can just understand each other a lot easier, and that then benefits the team a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. So, and at the end, since 2022 and our first season, it nearly become my second family. We have a really good relationship, and also the atmosphere in the team is like amazing. And we started in 2023 a second season in RX2E, and yeah, basically things were pretty good. We were leading the championship, but we had a small divergence of opinion with the promoter, and that's where we switched to Nitrocross in September. So yeah, Bert invested in the cars, and we decided to build the team in the US, which worked out, and I think that was the best decision we've made. And yeah, I can't wait for the future in Nitrocross.
A few fun questions just to finish off with, Ben. Quick fire round. Can you describe Nitrocross in 3 words?
Describing what? Sorry.
Nitrocross.
Nitrocross, like spectacular, American, and the future.
Okay. Weirdly, we've not had American yet. It seems an obvious one, but you're the first person I think who's described it as American, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, American, like the show and
summer or winter?
I would say more winter, because when I go on holidays, I prefer winter holidays and to go skiing, to do something. I'm not the kind of person to be laying on the beach.
Cheap holiday. And then finally, if you could race in any rally, what would you like to race in?
In a rally, you mean?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I would say Monte Carlo, because it's the most prestigious one and toughest one.
Which car would you want to drive it in?
Definitely a WRC, because as a driver and as an engineer, performance engineer, with the performance. So I could have gone for like the 306 Maxi or like old cars, but yeah, just the fastest car. Give me the fastest car.
Perfect way to finish this interview. Thank you very much for your time today, and we're really looking forward and hoping that we get to see you back on the grid full time next year, both as kind of the team manager and alongside Victor on the grid, because if Vegas was, like you were saying, you at kind of half measure of being good, then I think that'd be quite dicey next season.
Thanks a lot for your time, and I really hope that I will be on the grid as well, and that we can have more discussion in the future.
That was an awesome chat with Guillaume. We definitely, I don't know, it was really different and cool to hear something about so many different fields of motorsport. I mean, working with Alpine, also doing some driving stuff on the side, a master's in engineering, and he's kind of done everything. Ended up in the team aspect of things. And I know that's something that we've been really hoping for, to have that kind of the different approaches of how people work in the industry. And I think we got that here, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think if I didn't say it in the interview, then said something similar to it. He seemed to be a jack of all trades in some respects. It's kind of when one pathway was blocked, he just switched tack and went to another thing, and then switched into another thing again, and then that's led him back to being able to do more of the racing, even if it's just in a limited capacity. Hopefully he's back the next year. He clearly wants to be there. The team love him. He's got a lot of different things to offer them, both on and off the track, and it's just about getting that sponsorship together, I think, as it is for a lot of drivers. And I think he's definitely got that USP that a lot of drivers don't have, because they might not have had the time to go and be an engineer for Alpine and get a master's here and do some team management there, that sort of thing. So really interesting to come of it from all these different viewpoints, and a shame we didn't have more time with him in some respects, because it would have been nice to probe those areas a bit more in some respects.
Oh, absolutely. I do think this is one of those people that could come back and have a completely different set of things to discuss. So we might be doing that. We might be having a follow-up interview on this.
I'll be guest that day, and you can take over completely, and we'll just switch around completely.
Why not? But unfortunately, that is all we have time for on this week's episode. Absolutely huge thank you to Guillaume for coming on the show and taking the time to have a conversation with us. Details on where to find him and ourselves will be, as always, in the comments below. And yeah, we're excited to bring you some new content very soon. I mean, stay tuned.